Now let's go behind the rock screen.
You're welcome to come on in. We'll bring out the moonshine, start telling lies and calling up the women. But no talk about racing. Come on.
Hey everybody, this is Josh with the Dirt Court Jesters Podcast. Good to be joined by Duane Hancock with AFCS. Duane, thanks for jumping on with me.
Hey, Josh, thanks for having me on. I've talked to you several times in life and, met you there and never been on the podcast, so it's an honor to come on. I've been looking at some of your episodes and doing a pretty good job, man.
Well, I appreciate that. It's good to have you on. We've ran into each other a time or two at the track, and you've obviously got your hand in a ton of things when it comes to racing. Certainly more knowledge about it than I've got. But what I really want to talk about is something that I've been watching you do here for a minute. And AFCS, every season, it comes out, and I'm like, man, Duane is just doing good stuff with this. And I told you before we started recording that when I heard the latest Dirt Nerds, you were discussing what you were going to have going on in the mid-season for the 410s. And I thought, all right, I got to see if Duane will come on and talk to me about this, because I love that idea.
Oh, for sure, man. I appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, it's crazy. This is the 7th year already of the AFCS, and man, we're just blessed as the key word. I mean, only way I can describe it, because all of our money is from sponsors, marketing partners, all of our product and that. And I mean, the racetracks do kick in some too, a little bit. So they got a little bit of skin in the game, but majority of it is from our marketing partners. And each year, it's crazy. I've been blessed enough that a lot of them call me. And I get a lot of people's like, man, how do you do that? Or how do you get so many people? And I literally have had many of them call me and say, how do we get on board of the series? And what do we do? Or what can we do? And it's just went wildfire since then.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. Before we really dive into AFCS, I want to know, what got you into dirt racing?
I've been doing it all my life. So both sides of my family growing up, my mom's side and my dad's side, just went racing all the time. My grandpa, my dad's side, he had, they called them modified coupes back in the 50s and 60s, raced like Butler Motor Speedway, Bryan Motor Speedway. And actually there was a racetrack in Defiance, Ohio called Taylor Speedway that he helped the Taylor family build. And my grandma worked concessions there. I mean, obviously I wasn't born, but it was the roots there. And then actually Dad was drag racing for a while. And then my mom's side, they just always went to the sprint car races. They was the sprint car people. And when they got hooked up, they started taking Dad back to sprint car races. And that's all we did. My uncle on my mom's side, my Uncle Dave, which a lot of people know him, has been a photographer since he got out of Vietnam and has, hundreds of thousands of pictures back, like when Andretti, Unser, Foyt, and all that ran sprint cars. And he still does some photos. He was an ARCA midget photographer, Neymar's midget photographer. He shot USAC, NASCAR, IndyCar, all kinds of stuff. And so, I mean, literally I went to my first race when I was 18 months old, and that's all we've done. I mean, we, Cedar Point, maybe once or twice. We only ever took one family vacation that wasn't racing, and nobody in the family really didn't like it that well. So, I mean, we've just always went to the races. I mean, that's how I grew up. My mom and dad was helped out with the Gary Bettenhausen fan club when I was a little kid. And it's just from March to October, that's what we did. Majority of the time, if we didn't go to local shows, as far as sprint cars, I never went to hardly any local sprint car shows. We'd always go to the series shows, and then our local racing was either at Avila Speedway for modifieds and street stocks, or Bryan's Motor Speedway, or Angola Speedway. So, this local sprint car scene we'd go every once in a great while, but the majority we was just series chasers, and the local shows we'd go support the modifieds and stuff.
Awesome. And that's something that I know and listen to you again on Dirt Nerds. I try to listen pretty regular, and I know that's something you talk about. You get around to a lot of tracks. So I've got a question. You've been to a ton of tracks. You have a favorite?
I got quite a few favorites. Yes. I'm hoping to break the 200 mark this year. I'm up to 198. I was hoping to break the 200 last year, but had plans for it, and sometimes it just don't work out that way. As busy at work and different things. But man, favorite ones. There's one of my new favorite ones. I'll put it that way, because obviously I like Lawrenceburg. Kokomo, Attica is a great regular show. Plymouth, Wisconsin is an awesome place. I mean, the facility's great. The concessions are great. They have a curfew. I think it's 10 o'clock. It's either 10 or 11. But, man, they're bam, bam, bam when and so they got it set up where, like, it's at a fairground, so they got track, and they got, like, a push-off area for another track. Well, when those cars are going off the track from the first heat, the second heat's in the chute and already pushing out on the track, and they just bam, 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 and then afterwards they open the pits. Well, I got over with like at 9:30 when we was up there, and I'll bet you, I mean, the place was packed, and it was just a regular show. I'll bet you 2/3 of the crowd went to the pits, and there's teams playing music, just standing out. All the drivers was in their uniforms yet. No cars was packed up, but wasn't in a hurry to leave like we see around here a lot. And every single car, sprint car that raced and other cars was still unloaded, drivers in their uniforms, signing autographs, taking pictures with kids. And it was like, man, this is awesome. And the people's like, this is the way every week, and that's why it's packed. I mean, so that was relief and a surprise to see something like that.
I know it was kind of a loaded question. You've been to 198 tracks, and I'm sure you've got some things you like better than others, and we've all got that. But you bring up something that seems to be a common theme, and at some point during a conversation that I'm having with somebody, it comes up, and you pointed out what makes, in my opinion, dirt racing separate from any other major sport is what you talked about when the race is over. You can go in the pits, and for that matter, before the race is over.
Yep.
You can go in the pits and you can rub elbows with anybody and everybody. It doesn't matter who's racing. And that's just something that, I've ran into you a bunch of times. We're talking now, like some of the guys I've talked with, I didn't think I would ever talk. I'm just what the heck, I'll ask. And
right.
It's a very open community, and everybody's just there to have a good time. That's what makes me love dirt racing so much.
Well, yeah, and it literally becomes family. I mean, or kin. I got racing friends that are closer than a lot of my family that, we hang out with in the winter, or, do family events with, or vacations, or, dinners, or birthday parties, weddings, stuff like that. And everybody's like, well, how you know that? Oh, they're our racing friends, or they're our racing family. And it's crazy. And like you said, I think that's what sets it apart, because in as crazy as it sounds, I honestly think a lot of places do a lot better job of it because it's free. And, today's world, I get it. Everybody's in a hurry to go somewhere, it seems like. But there's a lot of free stuff like that we can use, autograph sessions and stuff like that, because the drivers will do it. And like I said, you can still go up to 95% of the people that's racing that night and talk to them before or afterwards, get your picture taken with them. It's not costing you $50 for an autograph, and I think that's what it is, being close. And a lot of them will put, the little kids in their cars afterwards or before, and that just creates new fans. And like I said, it just gets people in the seats, and that's what we need.
Definitely. Now let's get to the meat of this sandwich. What made you start AFCS?
Well, as people in the region probably remember, Fast used to be Fremont Attica sprint series or whatever it was. And it was around kind of the same thing AFCS is now. Well, it changed ownerships a couple times, and it became the first ownership change. It became a traveling series a little bit, and then it became a full-time traveling series, and it dumped the 305s. It got rid of the 305s and became a full traveling all over the region. So there's a void. And it's crazy because I didn't think anything much about it. And I got a phone call. I wasn't there as an Attica Raceway Park banquet. And I get a call after the banquet from Rex Lejeune, who is, helping run Attica at the time. And he calls and he goes, hey, he says, there's talk that somebody'd like to put their, drivers think we should put a local series together. Everybody liked fast. Last couple of years, it's been struggling, become a traveling deal, and there's nothing there. Would you be interested? Because we did a survey at the banquet, and out of the 19 people, or out of the 20 people we surveyed, 19 of them brought your name up as a person to get. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, will you do it? I said, let me think about it, because I have things the way I want to do things. I've always wanted an opportunity to promote. And I told him, I said, I might not be the guy because I'm going to be stubborn on some things, because there's some things that I'm going to demand or be like, hey, I want to do it this way. I don't want it all during, all at the end of the season. I want bonuses during the season. I just want them. They're like, you got free reign to do whatever you want, as long as it don't make us look stupid, or within reason, I mean, and I said, well, let me think about it. Give me a couple weeks, because it said I'm all in if I commit. This isn't if I do something, I don't want to half-ass it. We're doing it. We're gonna do, And before I even said yes, the rumor is getting out. Hey, you're gonna do this. You're gonna do this. I had over $10,000 in sponsors before I said yes. Guys were calling me. Hey, you do this. We're gonna give you this. Hey, you do this. We're gonna well, hell, now I got to, and and I'm like, okay. And I said, here's what I would like. And I said, I understand it's your track, your stuff, but if we're going to do this, or if you're going to have me do it, here's how I want to do it, or how I'm going to do it, or I ain't going to be the one doing it. And I didn't want to sound that way, but yet there's, things I've seen like traveling, and I've worked on race cars. I kind of didn't say that when we was talking about how I got in dirt racing. I've been working on sprint cars. When I was 14, my cousin had a car, and it was in my mom and dad's garage. From the time I was 14 to 16, we built our own engines, built our own wings. It was just a low budget deal. And I helped other area guys and some midgets, and then, just went up on the, line of helping people. And then, the last gig I did, I helped Chad Wilson for 7 years when he was doing the Boss Series, and then, the 1 year of wing. And so I know how expensive it is, and some of the things the teams are always complaining about of they'd like to see. So I bring that aspect in, too. And yes, it's great to have bonus money, but to keep this local sprint car series strong, or state, because we all know, it's a struggle every year more and more, because all these are family-owned teams, most of these deals, is I wanted to figure out a way, or the most fair way that I could find, to give the guys that are qualifying 25th, 26th, 27th quickest the same chance of winning bonus money as the guys that's first and second and third quickest, and so my brain never stops of thinking stuff. I mean, I've thought for years of ideas. If I ever take over a racetrack, or my dream was always, I'm gonna run Eldora someday.
Never know.
And I've had, for years. I mean, since I've been long as I can imagine, I was either gonna be a sprint car driver or I was gonna run a racetrack. And I've thought of ideas, and I'll think of ideas, wake up at 3 a.m, think of an idea. I've always have, and I've had an opportunity to show a lot of those ideas in the last, now starting 7 years. And I've been very blessed. They've worked with me very well. Had the first 5 years, it was the same people. Rich Farmer came in last year, and everybody's like, oh, man, he's going to be tough to work with for you. He's not going to let you do what you want. And, we have a mutual respect and understanding. And I told him, here's what I like to do. And we both gave, he's some things like, he's like, I really want to do this way. Like, I can see your point. And then he's like, here, but I'll do this for you, and so it's worked out great. And we're, like I said, we got record money this year. So it's still doing pretty good, I think. And it's just been crazy. It really has. Because when I first started this deal, I thought, man, it'd be amazing if I could ever get $50,000, because this is just a bonus. This ain't counting purses. Everything we do, the numbers I'm talking is in bonus money on top of the purses.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, man, if I could ever get up $50,000, it would be amazing. And hell, we surpassed that in the first year, which was crazy to me. And now this year, we could very, very well do over $90,000 this year.
It's awesome. That is very awesome. You talk about how you're always thinking of things, and I don't have the mind for it like you do. You've been involved in it for a long time, and I listen to folks talk about these things, and then even myself, I try to kind of think outside the box. What would be different? And I tell you what, the one thing that would worry me myself is all of this stuff. How hard is it for you to figure out these ideas that then you bring to fruition, to make sure that it's ironed out, all the details are straight, so there's no hiccups where somebody's pissed off because of the way things shook out, and you didn't think it all the way through? Has that ever been an issue, or is that something you're pretty good at getting it squared away before it hits the track?
That's happened a few times. I mean, it's I'm not perfect by any means on that, but no, most of it I try to think of every situation that can bite you in the ass, basically, when you do something like this. You got to think of the oddest, craziest scenario. And like I said, I've seen, I go, and I always have, 40, 50 races, but in the last 15 years, it's usually 80 to 100 races a year. So I've seen a lot of things, a lot of scenarios, and there's always something that you don't think of. And first couple of years was a learning experience, because I put some things in there, and like you think you got everything covered, and then something happens, you're like, oh shit. Of course that would happen. And there's some things I covered right away, like our hard charger. Day one, I put in there, because I've always seen this. So a lot of people just go hard chargers, the guy passes the most cars. And I'm always like, well, if we get a tiebreaker, I'm the only one that I know of, or we're the only one that I know of. Even the tracks, like the track hard charger is different than the AFCS hard chargers, because I do it by the car that started deepest in the field. So if there's a tie, the guy gets the bonus, guy or girl, that started deepest in the field. And the reason I did that from day one was, okay, if you're starting deep in the field, either A, you could be a learner or a less experienced or lower budget team, or you might have had terrible luck and worked your butt off all night, get the car ready for the B, transfer to the A, then pass 10, 15 cars, or just say 10 cars, start 20th and get 10th. And then the leader might start 10th and win. Why should the leader that wins, or, the guy that wins, get money? It just gives somebody, that's kind of struggled, or maybe an underfunded team, the chance to get the money better than or some nights when it's not passing, if a guy's only passed 5 cars and wins, and somebody started 20th and passed 5 cars, it helps out kind of the lower budget in. So, and that, you wouldn't believe how many times hard charger ties. That was one of the best things I ever did. And but yeah, there's some of them. I try to cover it all, but some of us live and learn. Like I never had a rule, because I thought common sense, which we all know sometimes,
not everybody has.
Right. So okay. I never had a cutoff of when you can join the series. So he's been, obviously, you want to be joined up before the first race. Once we start points, it's done. To me, common sense is you're not driving because you already missed out. Well, we had a few years back, had a guy that raced all of our races, didn't join the series, raced like first 5 or 6 races, and then goes, "Hey, I want to join the series." I said, "Why?" He goes, "Well, I'll be second in points then because I've been running good." And he goes, I said, "Well, we can't retro back to." He goes, "Well, you don't have a rule saying that," which I didn't. Like I said, all the things, some of those things you think of is like, so now there's a rule. You have to be joined before hot laps of opening night. Just
Yeah.
You just live and learn, but majority of it we have covered. But there's some incidents where you don't, or something like that pops up, because I would have never thought of who in the hell is going to want to join after 5 races and think they get their points for the first 5 races.
When you mention rules, it makes me think of Red Foreman. And
Right?
a Red Foreman's quote is, "If we didn't have rules, we'd all be up in trees flinging our crap at each other."
Right? Yes, there's some nights there that way for sure. And so, yeah, and basically, we follow the track rules for the most part, but then I have some series stuff, especially with all the bonuses, the tiebreakers, the tonus. So I come up with usually on, like, when we do these special promos, I'll come up with, okay, what if there's a tie, and I'll have like 5 or 6 tiebreakers, because, like, I think that's going to be enough, and then I kind of make usually about 5th or 6th one. I make it like, okay, this has to do it if all these other ones, So yeah, it's just live and learn on some of it, like that, and especially running the series, doing everything, the points, the money, the whole that. Now, I did do a marketing gig with Janet Holbrook back at Attica. The last year she ran it, and we had a really good year. She was the first one that kind of went out on a limb and "Hey, I'll hire you as a marketing guy." And so that went really well. And then just went back to working on race cars once she got out of there. And then this opportunity popped up, and it's been wild ever since.
I can only imagine. I like what you're doing with the schedule this season here in 2025. You don't have any standalone weekends for the series. You're running Attica on
Thank
Friday,
you.
Fremont on Saturday. There's a couple nights where the 305s are running Millstream, but those
Yeah,
aren't points races.
non-points races. So I'm glad you brought that up, because like I said, as thing bringing the teams in, and I listen to the teams, and I'm not saying the tracks don't, but I feel like I'm kind of like a mediator, or a guy in between, kind of the
Sure.
the the guy to go to and listen to the teams and then tell the tracks. And the last couple of years, I've had a lot of people say, "Man, those one night shows at Attica, when we got to pull 3-4 hours, we'd join your series." And I've had teams from Michigan, Southern Ohio, and that's one of the reasons we don't join your series, because you have those couple, standalone shows, usually at Fremont when Attica's closed, at Attica when Fremont's closed, and I get the tracks points too, but it's got to the point, and it sucks for me too, because, I mean, to be honest, because Attica's 2 hours from my house. And Friday, I always got to leave early. I always leave work by 2:00 to get there and get set up before 4 or 5 when the gates open and all that stuff. And so it's always, it's a strain on me too. And I'm like, why are we doing these? Because I get the tracks kind of want something, especially after Knoxville, to draw. And I think it's going to help our car count, because I've had, if drivers say do as what they've been telling me, because that's one thing. One of the biggest arguments I've had over starting the 7th year, is everybody's like, "Man, these standalone ones, that's why I'm not driving your series or racing your series." So we're going to put up or shut up year this year. All the guys that said that's why they didn't join the series, I'm hoping join the series this year. So we'll see. But that's why, that's the main reason why, is kind of listening to the teams, and it works out pretty good, hopefully.
I like it. I think what you're saying with the teams, it certainly should. I guess you'll know by the end of the season. You guys kick the season off Friday, April 18th, and the
Yes.
season wraps up Saturday, September 6th. We also talked about before we got on here, and you've talked about it some here, the bonuses and the payouts that
Yes.
you bring to the table, and the mini series that's in the middle of the season for the 410s. Just it keeps getting better every year, and I know you discussed you wanted that mini series to help give some guys money in the middle of the season so they can
Yes.
finish the season. Love all that stuff. Talk about that for a little bit.
Well, yeah, you have to. To me, you have to, and that was one of my big things when we did this. It's like, because the tracks are like big on points fund, big on points fund. That's going to keep all the guys here. Well, it's come to a point in life now of this sport is, some teams, depending on how their season started by July, some teams are struggling, to finish the season, money wise, equipment wise, and that. And it's like, why, especially if we get this kind of money, why are we giving it to 10 guys at the end of the season and that's it? In December or January or into November, December when they're not racing. I mean, yeah, that helps pay the bills or build the new car, but the object of the series is to keep local sprint car racing strong. Well, and to help the tracks keep local sprint car racing fans and cars there. So if you pass out some money during the season, that helps keeping those cars coming back to your track every week, to the series. And to me, that's the goal of the series. If our goal is to keep local sprint car racing strong, we have to take away some of the points fund money and pass it out during the season so they keep it. And perfect examples, Jerry Doms. He's very low budget. He's joined our series, and last year he won 2 of our big bonuses right away. And it was a good year for Jerry on bonuses. He actually won like 4 of them in about 6 weeks. And I mean, he was literally in tears. He goes, "This is keeping me racing because I don't race every week. Sometimes I got to skip a couple weeks but I just won this $300 bonus. Now I can race again next week." And then he made the A main, raced his way into the A main. And then, so he got money that week. And then the next week he got another bonus. He's like, "This is keeping me rolling." And that's kind of the object of it. And that's what I wanted to bring to the table. It's like, if I'm going to do this, I want to pass out money during the season in a decent amount instead of just all points fund, because that's when the teams need it. I mean, you need it all year round, but when you basically need it, it's during the season. And if you want those cars to keep coming to your track weekly or can afford to come back, you have to pass the money out during the season. Plain and simple in my mind.
No, I agree with you. And can you kind of explain how the mid-season payouts, how that's going to work?
Yeah, so we got some sponsors around and some money, and it's like, okay, what can we do a little different? Because I've done this, and not this big of a magnitude of it, but I've done different things where we've added $25 a spot, $50 a spot. I think one time we did $100 a spot. Just, okay, everybody tonight gets $100 a spot different, or $50, just some money. And I've had people come up, "Hey, what's it cost to add $50 spot?" I'm like, "Well, 20 cars and name ain't $1,000. Or if you want to do $500, we can do, $25 a spot." So we've done some things like that because everybody likes a little extra money. And like I said, then it goes to everybody that makes the main too. All 20 cars. And sometimes there's been some cars added, but anyways, it's like, what can we do? Because I'm always thinking of ideas that are different than anywhere else, or try to make the series unique, to keep, fans coming to the tracks instead of just making it the same old boring stuff. Each year I try to put a different twist on it. I mean, so it's like, okay, what can we do? It's like, well, why don't we do something really big? And I was thinking, okay, and I had a few sponsors, and like, if I can get 4 or 5 sponsors to give $2,500 a piece, and it's a lot easier to find that than one sponsor to give you 10 grand. So let me find that. And then we found everything, and it's like, and I told him my idea. I said, I want to do like 4 races, $2,500 extra per race, then a $2,500 points fund. But the points fund ain't just going to be the guys that's winning. I said, I want to emphasize it on performance, like passing. And I want the guy starting 20th in the A main to have a chance at the extra point money as much as the guy that's winning them all. So we're doing a little bit different because it's not very heavy on winning points because it's going to be 1 point for quick time. Heat races are paying 3, 2, 1, but a half a point for each car you pass. The B main's going to pay 2 points to win and 1 point throughout the field with a half a point per car. Then the A main's paying 5, 4, 3, then 2 throughout the field, then a point for every car you pass. So literally a guy could start 20th, pass 6 cars, 7 cars, and a guy can start on pole and win, and the guy starting 20th is going to have more points at the end of the night. Because one, it makes it unique. Nobody does it that way. And two, it gives everybody, even on the final night, a shot at that extra money, of the bonus. And plus, they're getting bonus money for 4 shows. So we're doing the $2,500, 500 is going to go to the winner, 200 to second, and 100 from third to 20th. So everybody's getting a decent bonus. Then 5 guys are going to split up a $2,500 points fund with kind of a unique, fun way. Because when I first talked about this to a couple teams, they're like, "Oh man, that's just going to be extra money for Cap, to kick our butt, or something." I'm like, no, I said, you should know me well enough. We're going to make this one fun and unique, or everybody has, the chance of getting the money even on the final night. And I got it. Another thing I have is you have to race all 4 races. If you miss a race, all your points are raced. That way we don't have somebody come in just for one night and happen to start last and pass her. I mean, it's for loyalty. I mean, it's for the series, but it's open to everybody that races with us. So even if you're not a series member, you're going to get bonus money or, extra pay that night. And then if you race all 4 races, you'll be eligible for it. But if you don't, if you miss a race, it's kind of like the penalty deal of, because it's obviously to help support the series, but we want to support everybody that runs with us too. So you get 4 races that's paying extra money, and then for loyalty, a little bonus program.
What are the dates of the mini series?
May 9th and 10th and July 4th and 5th, which July 4th and 5th is kind of unique because it's both fan appreciation nights at both tracks where it's cheaper admission, and usually for a local crowd, it's usually the biggest crowds of the year. So now we're putting on bonus money, so we should have extra cars and such as well. So it's going to be pretty cool because, like at Attica, their fan appreciation night is huge. I mean, because they open the pits after hot laps and qualifying, and the teams do really, really well, passing out free things to the kids and different things. And it's usually the biggest local crowd of the year at Attica. And some of those people, that's the only time they can afford to come to the races, or they come, or just a casual fan. You get the guys that might only go to a race or two. And so we're going to be able to showcase our product this year on the top end of it with extra money and everything, because usually it's not an AFCS night during those two, fans that don't get to see us all the time.
In 2024, in the 410s, Cap Henry grabbed the title by 4 points over Cale Thomas, and the top 3 were separated by 71 points. You got to love that kind of battle to wrap up the season, and I'm sure that's something you're hoping to see again, not just for the 410s, but the 305s as well in 2025. Talk about that.
Yes, Cap's won, this is our 7th year. Cap's won 3 titles, and 2 of them has come down to the last lap, last race, or, last race, last lap, literally. The first one he won, he beat Buddy Kofoid by 2 points and he bicycled with like 2 laps to go. And if Buddy would have passed another car, he would have tied, and Buddy had the tiebreaker. And just like this year, Cap was 30 points behind, I think, going into the A main. Cale Thomas had the tiebreaker and the points lead, and Cale just was off that night. He was just off the whole night. And so I'm counting cars because it's like, okay, now I got to work hard because we're going to say who's the champion. It's like, and I'm sitting there, okay, now Cale's here. Here's Cap. Okay, now he's 10 points away. oh shit, now he's 6 points away. Now I really got paid. Then at one time they was tied, and then it's like, okay, if neither one of them pass, it's going to be tied and Kale's going to win. Well, then Kale got loose and brushed the wall a little bit, and two guys got by him, and Cap didn't even know he won when he pulled in victory lane because he ended up winning the race that night. And so then I'm like, okay, did he get hard charger? Because that's 5 bonus points, or didn't he? Because it's like, if Kale moves up a few spots, they could tie, but then Cap could get the hard charger and break. So there's all kind of scenarios. I'm like, why do I do this kind of stuff? And yeah, Cap pulls into victory lane. He had no clue he won, and I'm sitting up there thinking, like, okay, let me double before we announce that. Of course, they're like, come on, we need to know. I said, let me double check. Give me 2 minutes. Double check. And it's like, yep. And yeah, and we're like, dude, you won by a couple points. And he's like, I can't believe it, And so, yeah, I love it that way. We had a 305 that way, not in 24, but in 23, Paul Weaver, his wing collapsed on the first lap, and he kept falling back farther, and farther, and he won by 1 point. And same deal, I had to figure out because I forget who it was. Well, Jamie Miller. And it's like, man, if Jamie's got hard charger, then he beats Paul. So I had to make sure hard charger was right and all that. And Jamie ended up not getting it. He missed it by 1 car. And so, yeah, it's cool when that happens because Brian, this guy does a good job of playing it up then, too, over the PA. He's like, oh, watch this. Here's for the title, especially when it's $10,000 to win for the 410s. This is, the race is for the lead and for that money, but here's a battle, 3 spots back for $10,000. So yeah, it's great. Cap stunk it up 1 year, and I told him he's not allowed to do that. Same way with our 305s. I mean, Paul Weaver literally stunk it up till last year. Then Jamie Miller stunk it up. So yeah. we need those guys that, I'm not wishing any, terrible. I love all of our guys.
Right.
305 guys are awesome. We have a good time as well as 410 guys. But I keep telling them, like, man, let some of these other guys win. At least make it, where we got some big competitiveness for the title. So, but yeah, I love it. It's great. And literally for how it is to have that happen with 410s at least twice. Actually, the only one that really was won before final night was Cap the 1 year, because when Cole Macedo won it, if he would have had a major hiccup, like if he would have flipped in qualifying or something or hot laps and couldn't come out, he would have lost the title. So his wasn't really tied up until the A main. So for 6 years out of the 5, it wasn't tied up until the final night of the guy making the A main, and 2 of them's come down to the last lap of the A main. And the 305s, that's happened twice that this came down up until the last night, and the one literally came down to the last 5 feet of the race. So, yeah, that makes it exciting to me. There's always a special moment each year, and it's not one that you'll expect that, because I ain't going to lie, sometimes I'm doing this like, what the hell am I doing? Why do I keep doing this? Because it's a lot of work, and sometimes, as you know, sometimes it's frustrating, and it's like, okay, but then there's always a special moment every year, like, oh, yeah, that's why I do this, And it's not usually what you think, but like that will definitely help. But it's a pretty cool little deal.
Yeah, you need those special moments, and I know you've been posting here lately, and you've even been kind of talking about it here. You got multiple drivers coming back and sponsors returning this season. Really, every season since you started this, you continue to gain momentum, and it's just got to make you feel positive about improving things for the series moving forward.
Yeah, and it's I've been told by a lot of people I don't give myself enough credit for it, but I don't look at it as, I'm not doing this for a look at me type thing. This is I'm not, or probably never will be, unless I win the lottery, rich enough to help everybody I want to help, Right. And to me, this is kind of my way of helping. I can't sponsor because I'm friends with a lot of these people before we even started the series. I've been to several of them's houses, been to weddings with their family, birthdays, vacations, drank beer with a lot of them after, and that's the other thing. I mean, you have to keep that neutral. You can't let any of that, if you're worth the salt that you are, you cannot let any of that. I mean, when the series is going on, I don't care who's driving it. It's a number. It's this number, that number. And if they need penalized, they need penalized, you know, and it doesn't matter who's in that car that night. And I think that's what kind of makes it good too, is you can't play favorites. You'll never play favorites. And you got to make it the same for everybody. And my deal is black and white. You know, sometimes at the tracks, there's a little different story, but that you have. And then sometimes, you know, we have some discussions. Okay, how can we not do this again? And but you'll have that, and everybody's on the same page and have the same goal. But yeah, it is, because like I said, to me it's crazy that people, one, know who I am at times, and I know for a guy like you, you're probably like, oh, well, you should be me, you know, because like you said, you're like, man, I can't believe I met you. I'm like, dude, I'm okay. You know, to me, that's to me, that part for me sometimes is still like, dude, this is just me. I'm not, you know, I'm not anything special. But perfect example, like FK Rodins is one of our new sponsors. John Ivy and I is at Chili Bowl looking at their booth. Because we always go out to Chili Bowl with Ivies, and we go to walk away, and the guy's like, hey, he says, are you Duane? I'm like, yeah. He goes, you got time to talk about your series? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, we want to sponsor it. I'm like, okay. You know, like, really? And I didn't know he introduced himself. He's like, yeah, I'm Kenny. I've been watching what you're doing, and we want to be involved, you know? And it's like, to me, that just kind of stuff like that still blows me away. I mean, it's like, how do you know who I am? You know, and of course John's like, well, you dumbass. He goes, you know, you do a pretty good thing, he says, and your face is all over social media. So, you know, I'm like, well, but that's the part still after 7 years that I don't know, I guess humbles me a little bit. But no, it does. It's crazy. Like I said, I get people calling me or asking me to sponsor, and I'll admit this year was the roughest starting. I mean, we talked about that a little bit before going on, where I've kind of had it too easy, to be honest. I mean, I've made phone calls, and 95% of the sponsors I've had since day one. And, you know, you'll lose one or two, and literally only one or two a year. And sometimes it's personal reasons. Sometimes it's, you know, they've changed business, or they sold the business, or, you know, we've had some. And this year it's like, man, first 5 or 6 called, nope, we're not doing it this year. Not doing it this year. I've had the biggest turnover this year, and it started off that way. And the few I talked to was like, yeah, we'll let you know. And I've never had we'll let you know. I've always said, yeah, or no, you know, which either way is fine. But I've never had, we'll let you know, especially for some of them I've had for a long time. And it's like, man, maybe this deal's ran its course. And I mean, mid-January, I'm like, man, I don't know. I still have to see what happens the next few weeks. And then all of a sudden it just took off a wildfire. And now we have the most ever. We're at 85,000 plus. And I say plus because I still got 2 more deals. I got a contract, which I've never had a contract. I know you're going to find this funny. 99.9% of my deals are handshakes and promises. And we've barely got, so we've got stiffed a little bit, but not major, because it's a pretty tight community. And when somebody stiffs us, I don't know if you've seen one last year, but it blew up pretty big. And so, and I'm not afraid to put somebody on the spot if they do stiff us, you know, I mean, and but I've never had that problem. Like I said, very little incident. So I actually got a contract, and it's with a big company. I haven't announced it yet because I got it, and it's going to be products, but it's going to be a lot of expensive products. And with what they're talking in the contract, that could put us a good 6,000-7,000 in product yet this year. And then I got another deal kind of cooking that'll be very unique if we get that going. Something that I don't think anybody's ever done ever that I know of. I mean, we're talking Earl Bald was crazy back when monkeys got married and everything else at the racetrack. I mean, this is kind of a reverse deal. It's if this deal goes through, it's going to make the drivers better halves happier than the driver.
Okay. All right.
We got a few things cooking there. Maybe I gotta hopefully that deal will come through because it's going to be kind of unique.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and each year, and I say, 85 plus, because each year we get somebody, and it doesn't matter if it's $50, $25 here. I've had people like, hey, we're going to buy 2 pit passes for a driver, whatever. We've had that every year. We've had usually thousands of dollars added during the season, a little at a time. Somebody's like, hey, I want to do $50, or I want to do $100, or I want to do, so each year something like that happens, or I want to buy a tire, or I want to buy whatever, and we do all that. I mean, one time, heck, we gave away a 6-pack for the 6th on lap 6 and a 5th for 5th on lap 5, and the guys loved it, So we've done crazy things, and I think that's what kind of makes the series unique too. Is they'll be like, "What the heck's he doing now?" Giving away a 6-pack of beer for 6th on lap 6, but hey, the guys love it. And we've gave away dinner to drivers before, and just crazy things that nobody's doing. And it all adds up. Like I've had everyone, like one's like, dude, I don't care if it's, 5 hot dogs for the team. That's money that we put into the race car,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And, you talk about 85 plus, and you've got some of that stuff in the back burner that, although it's product, not cash, I mean, it's still comparable and it still adds to the total. And then as you touched on, people dropping off a buck here, a buck there for things. I think there's a good chance before the season's over, you might cap that 6-figure mark with all that stuff wrapped in together.
That is a goal of mine. If I can make that happen, I mean, that's why it's so late. I'll announce our points fund, about a month before. And I just did it tonight because we're 2 weeks away starting tomorrow. Because I've been holding off because I really wanted to get everything. And if I happen to land both those deals is still on the back burner, that will put us probably right at the 100,000. And that just, it still gives me chills thinking of that. In all honesty, right now it's crazy. It's like, wow. I mean, to think that it's all from our supporters, and I can't beat in the heads of our guys enough and our fans to support. And I don't care if it's just share their stuff on social media, email them, say, hey, thanks for it, because that's where this money comes from, is our marketing partners. I mean, it's if it wasn't for them, it wouldn't be happening. And I get a lot of credit, but like I tell them, it takes all of us. It takes all of us to put it together, to make it happen. And one thing that I think a lot of our marketing partners like, that, not speaking for this, but I look at that money as my money. Like if I'm spending that money, because a lot of them are like us, they're small business owners, friends of racing. That's like, man, I just want to help, but I don't know, like, what do you want to gain, or what do you want? Well, we just want to help. I'm like, okay. And I look at it as my money. If you want to spend this much, we can do this. If you want more exposure and you got a little more money, we can do this. And I've done that with a lot of our people. Like, tell me what you want. And I'm not asking. And a lot of them are like, you give me what you're comfortable spending and we'll find a budget for you, or we'll find a place for you.
Right.
Right. Instead of, hey, I need X amount of money, or you can't do anything.
Sure.
Yeah. And I think that's how it's grown.
And this goes back to what we talked about earlier with just how dirt racing is open, and you talk about people, noticing you, recognizing you. And I think it's because you're so personable and you got your hands in a lot of different things. I mean, you got On Throttle radio show that you do. You've got the Dirt Nerds podcast. You're doing AFCS. If you can get to the track, you're getting to a track, like, and there's not a stranger to you. If somebody wants to come up and chat to you, you're more than open. And I think all that stuff helps out, as you said, in the community, to get the AFCS series where it's at today.
Yeah, I appreciate it, because I think you're right. I mean, and that's part of me, like, man, because I'll get people like, man, we're from like Texas or somewhere, like, man, we always wanted to meet you. And I'm like, why? But I get, I mean, so yeah, that part's really cool. And I try to be. I mean, I usually talk to everybody. Some people's like, who's that? I'm like, I have no idea. First time I ever talked to the guy or girl. I don't know.
Yeah.
We've had people like that, and that's one thing my girlfriend's had to get used to is like, we're sitting there and she's trying to remember everybody's name. She's like, "Who's that?" So I have no idea. I've talked to him for 10 years, and I have no clue what the hell their name is. Because you might see them 3 times in that 10 years.
Sure.
And it's funny because it's vice versa. I got a sponsor that way. Last year's first year it came on, McIntyre Retirement Solutions. Chris and I used to back when I was younger, we'd run into each other, say hi, maybe have a beer out in the parking lot or something, and that's it. I knew he was Chris. He knew I was Duane. He didn't have this business at the time, and I wasn't doing this. And now he goes, "Isn't that crazy? Like 20 years ago, we'd just say hi and have a beer or something, just, like you do at the racetrack. And now I have a business where I can support something that you're doing." And it's just crazy when some stuff like that happens.
It's awesome. We're getting close to the end here, Duane. It's something I like to do with everybody. Some people are smoother with the lightning round questions than others.
Uh-oh.
I think you're going to handle it well.
I got to get my brain working.
If you don't have an answer, it's okay.
Well, I usually answer no matter what. It might be a screwed up answer, but
I'm sure we'll be good. So, all right, I'm going to go. I've got 10 questions for you. I'm going to start with question number 1. Who was your celebrity crush growing up?
Oh, man, Mariah Carey.
Favorite cartoon?
Scooby-Doo.
Do you have a favorite pro wrestler?
Oh, Jake the Snake Roberts.
All right. Do you have a favorite song, something that either you always play or something going on right now that you're listening to?
Oh, man, there's a ton of them. Man, favoriteest one, Kickstart My Heart, my Motley Crue's usually one to get the day going.
There you go. All right. On your phone, the map, what is one location you have saved on there?
With one location saved, probably the whistle stop.
Oh, whistle stop in Ansonia off 118, just 7-minute drive south of Eldora Speedway. If you're at Eldora, get the whistle stop.
Yes, for sure.
Do you have a favorite vacation spot? I know you get to the track a ton. You said Cedar Point. Is there anything outside of that?
Whatever dirt track I've never been to. Last year it was Eagle, Nebraska.
Okay. All right.
I do like, not to make it long because it's supposed to be speed round. I get some crap from the girlfriend about not going to the beach, but me and the beach last for about a day and a half to 2 days. It's hard for me to just set all the time.
Yeah, I can.
If
I
there's
can
drinks
understand.
there, it's a little easier, but
helps.
Yes.
Something very few people know about you.
I've been struck by lightning.
Oh, don't do that again.
Yeah, I was little. When they say get out of the shower when it's lightning, take that advice.
Okay, well that is interesting.
We'll come in through the water heater and hit you in places that you probably don't want to be hit.
Well, I'm glad that it was no worse than what it was, and you're still with us. That's for sure.
Yeah, so now everybody's gonna know. I love it.
Well, there you go.
That's why I'm so goofy. Maybe I don't know.
If you could own one car, what would it be?
Like street car or?
Yeah. So, for example, mine, I don't know why, 89 Mustang GT hatchback.
See, I've always, for some reason, I don't know why either, like a 77 Corvette.
Okay, very nice.
Or like a 64 Impala lowrider with hydraulics.
Oh. I gotta see you driving that. Do you have a go-to meal?
Pizza.
Okay. Any particular spot? Any favorite spot?
Of pizza?
Yeah.
Imo's Pizza in St. Louis.
Ooh, okay.
Yes.
Very nice. All right, last question. Funniest story you could share from the track. It could be before the race, after the race, on the way. Anything that comes to mind.
How many hours do you have?
Well, I'm sure you've got a ton.
Probably we'll make this one. This people know about this one a little bit and won't really get me in trouble. I don't know what the statute of limitations is after. So, it's funny because I don't know how well you know Brian Smith, very clean cut racer from our area. He'll hang out with everybody afterwards, but he don't drink alcohol, he don't cuss, don't swear, and stuff like that. And he hangs out with some rebels like Ryan French and a bunch of us, and where we'll drink and be telling dirty jokes and stuff. And he's just laughing. Well, one night for some reason we're in Fremont in the pits, and they got a deal where the team that stays the latest gets a trophy.
Nope.
And they pass it around. So this is one of those nights, and I don't know, we was just talking, and it's like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and somebody said something about dynamite, and I'm like, well, I got a half a stick in my car. And they're all like, oh, yeah, right. And Brian Smith instantly goes to his trailer and gets the earmuffs and puts them on, headphones, because he knows me well enough that dynamite's coming out, because these guys don't believe me. So we're just sitting there talking. I go to the car, acting like I'm taking a leak, come back, and Ryan French, I don't know how well you know him, but he's pretty animated, especially when he's had a few drinks. It's funny. And we're just sitting there talking. I like this thing, and I throw it literally about 5 feet to the right or left of Ryan and I. And we're sitting there, and Brian starts covering his ears, even though he's got the headphones on. And right when Frenchie turns, it goes off, and the look at he's like, ooh, and that goes so boom. And I mean, of course, it's 3 a.m, nobody's around, and the loudest echo. So we're hurried. I'm like, I'm heading out of here before the cops show up, and I go flying across to the campground. And Lane Racing was there, and I know them real well. So I go to their campsite, and I'm sitting there like, what was that noise? What the hell happened? Blew up over there. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And they're like, oh, yeah, sure you know. Like, dude, if the cops show up, I've been here for hours.
Man, that's a good one. That's a good one. If you've been to the track plenty of times, like you're saying, you've always got stories to go with you, and there's always something good.
Well, the best thing is, after my girlfriend moved in a couple years ago, she come in the house one day, and she's like, is there a reason there's a thing that looks like a dynamite stick laying in front of the garage? Like, oh, don't worry, that one's already went off.
Oh, man. Well, Duane, I've kept you long enough. I appreciate you coming on. Before we wrap this up, you got some sponsors that you'd like to thank?
Oh, man, I do. I don't have them all memorized yet this year because we got some new ones, but obviously Kissler Race Products, All Pro Aluminum Cylinder Heads, Ballman Auto Group, Real Geese Decoys came on real big time as our title sponsor this year for the 305s, and Real Caps, their parent company. Another big one, new one I got this year is NWO Propane, Northwest Ohio Propane out of Graytown, Ohio. They've never been on a series around. They've always done some billboards and stuff. So they're on board. Spanky's Pizza of Cary, Terry Hendricks Auto Group in Ford out of Archville, Ohio, Napa Auto Parts of Bryan, Ohio, Liuna Local Laborers 574, J&F Construction and Building Design out of Bucyrus, Ohio, Crown Battery, Engler Machine and Tool, Fremont Fence, Mattress by Appointment, Fremont, Ohio, Elite Wings, Fremont Overhead Door, Perfect, Jack Fortney. He's a neighbor guy of mine that I knew he used to be a track photographer at Butler Motor Speedway and Bryan Speedway, and he was a Sammy Swindow fan, and so was I, and that's how we knew each other. And when I started, he's retired. He's in his 70s. And as soon as we started the series, literally, and this is no bull crap, within 60 seconds, he called me. I want in. I want to help. Tell me how. He goes, you got a hard charger? I'm like, dude, I don't have hardly anything. We just started this thing. And his goal was, and he's been putting out about $5,000 a year in bonuses. And he's just a retired guy that loves sprint car racing. And his main goal was to meet John Ivey and meet Byron Reed. And before Byron Reed retired, he was hanging out with him every night, and we drink a beer several times with John Ivey after the races. And our personal, he's been to his shop. So, anyways, Jack Fortney. Let's see where I'm at. Berriman Racing Shocks, Griff Engines, Level Performance, Rebar Die Casting, Burmeister's Trophy, Computer Man of Fremont, Gressman Power Sports, DMI, Rear Ends, Hoosier Tire, SCS Gearbox, Real Custom Fab, and Chassis Building there in Clyde. Brandon Real, a racer, is building his own chassis now, and they're doing pretty good. He does chassis work and custom fab. Premier Planning, I'm out of Fremont, Ohio. Fair Auto Repair, Bryan, Ohio. Angry Duck Graphics, McIntyre Retirement Services, and Dusky Bay Remodeling. Victory Fuel, Ash Automotive of Fremont. Burger Landscaping. Snyder Floor Covering. Schluck's Bar and Grill in Fremont. FK and Rod Ends, Emerson Cigar Lounge, Napa Corporation, and let's see, Minute Maid Press out of Fremont, Ohio. And hopefully that covered them all. I think it did.
Very good. I know people.
Almost said one of them that I'm working on.
Well, I almost got something there. I know people can also follow you on AFCSsprints.com as well as on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Yeah.
If you go to AFCSsprints.com, I'm going to be honest with you, it's not the best website in the world because I do it. I do that too. On top of this, my daughter helps me with the social media during the season. But other than that, it's all me on Facebook. She does Twitter and Facebook during the season, but other than that, and the website, I may get some help on the website this year. We'll see, but the website is the worst part of our series. I do not.
It's got the schedule. It's got the points. It's got the sponsors, right? I mean,
yes,
it covers the three major things.
Yes, the points, the sponsors, the schedule, and I try to put up the stories. I got somebody that's looking for an internship that I might give the keys to the website to, and a college student that's engaged to one of our 305 racers that approached me the other day and was like, "Hey, I need some intern hours. Do you need help?" I'm like, "Do you do websites?" And she says, "Yeah, I can." I'm like, well, let's think about this. So we may get that covered a little better because that's one of the biggest complaints I get. Like, I only have so many hours. And like last night, I was up to 1:30, doing stuff because it's getting crunch time. And but I don't know. I just it's just great. I have a lot of people because I'm kind of geared a little different. I have a lot of people. I've had people tell me, it's like, "Dude, you don't make money off this deal. You're not taking a paycheck and that." I'm like, "No, I have no guaranteed money, but I get a lot of perks from drivers, tracks, and stuff." And it's, I mean, shit, if I was in it for the money, I would have quit it a long time ago. I mean, I do it for fun, to give back. And like I said, there's those special moments like when Stuart Williams, guy that I barely knew and talked to and always won Sports Series, when he raced, he won, and he comes out and he's giving me a hug and he's crying because he's like, "Dude, I just won one of your races." I'm like, wow. It's like stuff like that. I mean, that's priceless. I mean, that's stuff that you can't buy and give a shit how much money they give you. That stuff's, to me, that stuff's more important than money.
Definitely. Duane Hancock with the AFCS Sprint Car Series. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Everybody, this is Josh with the Dirt Court Jesters Podcast, and we hope to see you at the track.